No idea. Yo,
we are live from somewhere in
Morzine. We're not quite in Morzine. This is Lac Montreal.
We are on a lovely lake with
Beautiful.
some lovely hills, and so yeah, we're here because it was the Spartan Race European Championships yesterday, and we survived.
Just
Only just survived. It was, I guess, beautiful
and brutal. So we've come up with a new beautiful. And it really was. We've taken this time basically to film and vlog for the first time. This podcast, we just thought it was a brilliant location to give it a go.
The right event to start it off with.
Definitely.
It's a scenic area, and what an event. It was tough. Everything you'd expect from a championship event. It was hard, but we will go through our lovely race.
I think we should probably start. Let's start at the very beginning. So for me personally, I drove from England, got in the old VW and drove the Love Wagon, all the way from England to here. It took us about 12 hours. I came here Thursday, fortunate enough to meet with Joe DeSena on the Friday and take it all in. Waiting for my co-host here to arrive, and I'm sure he'll tell you in a minute he probably had the worst nightmare of a travel pre-event ever. But we are here and we have raced. So
we both made it. So my travel. So I woke up at 6 in the morning to basically get ready to go down to Gatwick to get my flight, which was supposed to be 11:20 in the morning. So I was going to drive there. So I woke up, I looked at my phone, and I had a text from EasyJet saying that my flight had been cancelled at 5:50 in the morning.
And what time was your flight actually supposed to go?
11:20. So I was like, oh my god, I've got no flight, I can't get to Morzine. So I decided to quickly go online, find the next flight to Geneva that I could get. Ended up being I had to go to Heathrow, fly to Brussels, wait 2 hours in Brussels, and then fly to Geneva. So it was already extending my trip by 2 hours or 3 hours. I was like, okay, I'm going to be there for about 4:30, 5ish. So it was bad, but at least I was going to get there. So ended up going to Heathrow, doing the car, getting the flight. Flew to Brussels, where we had the 2 hour layover, waited for the flight, got on the plane, then we were on the plane and the co-pilot comes on the microphone. Unfortunately, this flight's going to be cancelled. The pilot is ill, we will not be able to fly. Please go back into the terminal and we will we'll sort you out with another flight. And I was just like, my god, I'm never going to make it. Luckily they did sort me out another flight. It was another 2 hours later. Then when I got to the flight desk, it was an hour delayed. So I didn't actually start flying until about, I think it was 8:20.
So this was Friday night, yeah?
Yeah, this was Friday. I was in Brussels.
And you were supposed to be racing at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, the next
probably
day.
The biggest race you've ever been in. The next day.
So ended up getting the flight from Brussels, an hour delayed. Got into Geneva, had to switch my coach from Geneva to Morzine to a bit later one. So I arrived in Morzine at the accommodation I had with Ben at 12:05 at night.
Jesus. So at that point I was fast asleep in my van, dreaming and thinking about racing. So
not caring about me.
Not caring about you at all. Past caring about you, mate.
But got in 12 basically, just had a quick shower, went straight to bed. I was pretty tired. Got up at, what time did you come get at 6? I got up at 6. We went to the event for about got there for about 6:30. Luckily there was still registration in the morning, so I quickly managed to get all my registration done. And then it was quick warm up, and we were basically on the start line,
and it was all surreal by then.
And then it was go. We lined up at the beginning. What was there, about 80?
About 85, I think. 85. In the end. Top elites.
Yeah, top elite males.
5 of the best, basically, from all around Europe.
Yeah, basically.
Including the biggest names.
All the biggest names in Spartan race.
Like Luke de Benedicts and Jack Carpenter.
Of course. So we were there. They did a nice little start off, and then it was straight into the race.
Pretty much. And we I don't notoriously look at race maps, and bearing in mind there wasn't one, I don't think. There was an elevation map, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. Which was quite cool. So notorious, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but Luke sort of said to me as we were warming up, he was like, well, I think it's going to be sort of a mile in the village, which is reasonably flat, and then we're pretty much going to do 6 mile of climbing, and 6 mile of downhill, with a few lumpy bumpy bits, and then a mile back in the village to finish off the obstacles, which it wasn't far off, was it?
No, I think it worked out something like that. If you looked on Strava, there's a lot of up, and then there was a bit of down, but some of those were a bit hidden because it was mixed in with like one hill. And then you do like a lot of down. It was like, and then at the end they threw those 2 quite big hills.
Which we'll get to.
So when we went out of the event village, we basically went through the
quick as normal. It was quick.
It was quick. It was like
different
6 minute
to England
days.
For me, purely because this is the first European race I've done. And in England, obviously, I'm normally on the start line. I'm more at the front with the boys, and normally you've got a lot of space. You're either running out there at the front. This was different. It was so you were hemmed in. A lot of muscular, sweaty Europeans with no tops on, and I couldn't get into my physical running stride for quite a while. I felt like I was like a marathon. Very close. And then they took us straight into that, as per normal. Took us straight into the like little hurdle walls.
Little hurdle walls. Then they had that full street of basically 2 foot hurdles.
Like 2 foot hurdles.
2 foot hurdles.
All right on the way out.
On the way back. So 2 little 2 foot hurdles. Then it was a couple of 4 foot walls. And then it was over under. And then we were kind of
your normal sort of to break up the break.
It then kind of split us up into like a bit of group.
It did break us up in it. Straight into water, European style, into like a ravine. A bit through woods, wasn't it? And then almost straight into water straight away.
And then it was where we had the first like normal obstacle, major obstacle was the Z-wall.
The Z-walls,
Came to the Z-wall, which
is different to England's.
A little bit different, a bit more slick,
aren't they?
Flat walls, but the only difference is that it had been raining yesterday.
Technique was no different there, was it?
No, technique was still fine. And you would have seen on maybe the live feed there was a few people who were kind of at the front that actually fell off.
One of the main guys.
The guy who was leading the race on the live feed came off.
Actually came on. I don't know how he came off because it didn't. When you
just
look at the live feed,
it and then you just.
We'll share the live feed, the one we have, I think. On this particular podcast, so you guys can take a look.
You can take a look at the highlight feed that they did. There was an 8-minute little video that they put together, Spartan did, which was really cool. There was also the live feed, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. If not, we've shared it on our page, and we will share it again with this podcast. After that, then we went literally through a little lake, and then it was up, and it was the waterfall, like jump in to big pile of water, and then we had
big pile of water.
It was just a big pile of water.
It was just like a jump. I think previous years, looking at the videos, we got a lot higher. I think a lot of people just sort of restricted it a little bit. For people that don't swim, it's still a bit of a oh my god.
It was more of going into the water and then going
to get you cold.
Cargo net.
Cargo net on rocks.
The cargo net was. I didn't find it too bad because I kind of braced my feet into it. Used it as a climb-up.
I had a bit of a oh my god moment. I actually, as I jumped into the water, I felt my chip fall off my arm. At what point I literally went, stop the race! I'm sure I shouted that out quite loud.
Stop!
But unfortunately, you could just see this yellow thing going down the water, and I dived in stupidly head first. It was deep enough, and then I grabbed this thing and pulled it out, and it was my chip, and I just threw it in my back pocket in my compressed sports, and I literally ran the rest of the race with it in my pocket.
You were lucky.
I was lucky because that was only about 10 minutes into the race, and it would have been race over if I'd lost my chip, that's for sure, especially in the biggest race of the year.
You'd have been running like, this is my time, I promise you. It was that. Then there was more kind of technical trail running up.
There was a lot of running at this. All I remember now, a lot of at the time felt like uncomfortable running, but looking back now was the easiest part of the running in a race there was. Give me that any day.
We got into like the forest, and there was a net up and down. Straight up,
like literally a vertical one.
And then we carried on, and there was rope climb right in the middle.
A lot thinner ropes. So if you come into Europe,
the ropes are not.
They're real thin, but they are a lot lower. You can almost. I watched the live feed of the guys. One hand up, jump, hit the rope down. So they're not like where you physically have to climb.
No, they're a lot shorter than we got in the UK and what the US have. and also instead of being on something fixed, they're on a line.
Yeah, it moves.
So all the ropes, there's like 1 rope, 2 rope, 3 rope.
You can hear the bells ringing, can't you?
And if somebody else is on it, you're moving as well. It's not, you don't have a single rope to yourself. It's moving with the bunch that you're in.
So quite like that though. I quite like that when they just like throw it in there just as a gap. Let's put a rope climb in there, you know.
So we carried on through there, and then I think we went up that ski slope quite.
Then it was literally a ski slope. So if any of you weren't skiing, literally where the
lift goes,
the lift pylons, we basically ran the wrong way, in my opinion, up there, and it was just. I mean, people picked their own. It was interesting to see actually how some people picked their own paths. Some guy I actually saw on one side,
really right to the right
hand side, and he was going and he was using the grass that wasn't cut to pull himself up because it was pretty much a climb, wasn't it?
It
was a staircase. 40% or what have you. I didn't. There was like a little zigzag track, and I just tried to step every foot up and just signal. I mean, it's so early in the race. We felt good at that point.
Yeah, we were moving well. I think everybody was moving quite nicely.
Yeah.
And then we came up after that through a bit more forest running, and then it was into the crawl.
The crawl. Yeah.
Barbed wire crawl,
which again
is kind of like that.
Yeah, uphill.
Definitely a crawl. You saw some people rolling it. I tried it, and I just didn't fancy
it's not gonna work.
I was just like arm over arm.
I mean, rule of thumb is I personally think, in my opinion, if it's uphill, you have to commando crawl.
Yeah.
Rolling uphill is especially when the barbed wire is so low. I mean, you could barely get your body. You were catching your top or your floor. It wasn't like in England where you can have your ass up a little bit. No. And then really weirdly in the middle of the section they did like bungee wire. So obviously to give people a bit of a break, I should imagine. I don't know.
They ran out of barbed wire.
And then they continued with the barbed wire and stuff. Yeah. So, but it was a long uphill, elbow grazing. Elbow grazing barbed wire crawl.
Yeah, I think by then we were like probably only about 2 and a bit miles in, and we were probably about 25 minutes, maybe 20, maybe verging on 30 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't even look at my clock.
I can't remember, but after the top of that hill, it was a little bit more running. Then we came up to that water station just before we went up and did the Olympus.
That's right.
So it was first water station. Brilliant. Took on some hydration.
Yeah.
Then we carried on, and there was Olympus.
Yeah. Olympus was odd as well, wasn't
Olympus
it?
Olympus was a bit different than we've had.
I think it was higher. I don't see how it can be because
it was a bit more slanted. I think
it was more slanted.
It was, instead of ours, was a bit like that.
Yeah.
It was a bit more close together, so it was a bit tighter.
It's really weird. You were ahead of me at that point, and I remember looking at you doing it, and you didn't have your knees up.
No.
You had your body was full length, and you were holding the holes.
Yeah, I was going holes, helmet,
helmet. And I thought, well, that's weird because Luke's taller than me, or as tall as me, and his feet aren't touching the floor. And then I looked at other people when they were doing the same thing. And what was really interesting is because it was slippery, because obviously the moisture,
push yourself across.
You could push your belly up against the planks and literally just slide, which I felt really helped.
It did.
Because if you try and lean back, obviously you've got that natural resistance to fall backwards. But hug the wall, stay close and slide. The schools were a little bit different to England because obviously they had wooden schools and not the climbing blocks.
Climbing grip, red climbing grips, they had the Spartan helmet.
Yeah.
With
but the top was just enough, wasn't it? Like a half-inch lip.
It was about that kind of lip on the top.
To allow you to grab it, which caught me out initially. I was like, ooh. But once I got used to it, whole helmet, not chains, no chains.
No.
And if you watch the live video, actually, you can see the Russian guy, Sergey, how wet that actually is as he's going past it. You can see he leaves marks. So a wet Olympus, but we don't get caught out by that anymore. We've learned how to do that properly.
Olympus was okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then we started the climb.
Yeah.
Basically, after that, we were going all the way up the mountain,
which we knew we were doing. We knew this mega climb was coming at one point.
It was something crazy, like
it did turn out to be, I think, on our Strava, like a vertical kilometre. Sort of 40%. You're talking stair climber. You had to physically step up. You had to step up to actually get up. You couldn't walk it. It was very much over and sort of a marching on hands on knees, and then jog a little bit, hands on knees, jog a little bit, hands on knees.
It started off that it was like a zigzag motion, and then when
you could pick a straight line there, couldn't you?
Yeah. Then you had to go a straight line, kind of towards the top, and then it got a load of quite rocky.
Yeah.
Quite narrow path, and then that was it was a long climb.
What was interesting is that unlike in England where they actually map the path out so you can't deviate, here they were happy for you to make your own way, if that makes sense, but as long as you obviously went
It's more like, I would guess, a trail race. They say, right, you're going to get to the top of the mountain.
We don't care how you do it, you just got to
get up there. So people were going zigzag, they were sticking to zigzag, or some were going across.
Straight across, cutting corners.
I did a few zigzags, then I went straight across the couple, then I did zigzags.
What I started to realise is, like, because me, you, and at the point Ben Conroy were all quite close. Every time I cut, I would get ahead of you, but actually, the effort that I did trying to step up that steep hill,
big step,
exactly. So actually, it was as broad as it was long.
You're not. I don't think you were gaining much if you went up the middle to doing the zigzag.
No.
It showed at the end of the time. We ended up. You and Ben ended up getting to the top almost quite
only because I was going, come on Ben, glutes cracked, carry on, go.
Broken.
I said, don't tell him I said that, but
I was about maybe a minute and a half behind you when you got to the top.
I don't quite know why you backed off so much. I think probably attitude just sort of kicked in.
It just kind of got there, and a few people came in front of me, and then I was kind of stomping.
It's easy, and I find with these races, it's easy to, if you're following someone. I had a Polish guy behind me for quite a while at the start, and I found myself running to his pace, and what am I doing?
Of course.
Why am I not running my game here?
I think it's different with a race like this where we're used to running at the front, like you said. It's different because we're running our race in the middle of the race. We're not at the front. We were running between like 30th and 40th. So you've got to build your own race. The person you're running next to is used to running 10th or 9th, or they're not used to front running. So it's hard to really pick somebody to gauge your race off. You've got to run your own one. But
it was weird. There was the same. You did tend to see the same people. Other than when we had a bit of a spurt when we found ourselves in a good position at one point, but
a bit earlier on. But we made it to the top, and then right at the top they had the A-frame,
which is epic.
cargo net, which was amazing.
So at the top point of Morzine,
basically, they had the marker of where the highest point was,
which is 2.2.
Which we went over the top, which was beautiful. There's a couple of times I had a little look around and just stunning. You can see Mont Blanc.
Mont Blanc. Well, Italy, Switzerland, France, obviously.
But this is definitely the most scenic and beautiful race I've done.
And to be honest with you, as you can see now, we have been blessed with probably the best weekend of 25 degrees, 28 degrees.
Yeah, it's lovely weather.
So you can't. 27 degrees. So
it's basically after the A-frame, then it was a pretty fast, steep ascent. Do a descent of the massive mountain, and it was kind of zigzagged again.
And again, you could choose whatever you wanted to go.
Yeah, you could choose your route.
I chose my arse a couple of times.
I almost fell a couple of times, but I managed to keep it.
I've actually lost or losing a toenail because of that very descent.
Yeah, there was a lot of rocks on it. You had to be very careful. It was very technical trail running, and you had to gauge your speed. There was a few points I was going way too quick, and I was like, I could fall any minute down this mountain.
It was the point if you actually fell and slipped, you could easily end up doing 50 rolls and be 400 metres down the hill and broken neck. It was that steep. We're talking 40-50%.
So I was behind you guys. I come down the mountain quite quickly. Ended up at the bottom of the mountain, right behind you two.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I saw you and
I backed
Ben
off a bit. I must admit.
And I was like, oh, okay. I found you guys again. So then, boom, we were basically coming up to the lake then.
The lake. So we had a bit of a running section, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a bit of a running section, and then we came around the corner, and there was the lovely lake in the middle of the mountain.
Cows to run through.
Cows everywhere. And we got there, and it was a log carry, and this time a little different. Grabbed the log, and then we ran, and we had to swim across the lake with the log, and then run it back, which I thought was really nice.
It was around the lake basically, wasn't it? But
around the lake, but you missed half it.
Which,
out to swim,
in my opinion, was the best part of the whole race.
It's because you love the.
I'm a swimmer, and I love carries, so boom. In actual fact, I just remember a guy that we raced against in Ireland called Jackie Bissett, who's a very good French runner.
Really good.
And I overtook him on the swim part, and I think you guys were with him at that point. And we went around this lake, dropped the thing off, and I remember thinking, I've just done that really well. I'm really chuffed myself.
I'm doing good.
And I was like, I've lost Luke, I've lost Ben, I've lost Jackie. I'm going to go for it. I just went off this little mad run.
We went up.
Which we haven't had since Edinburgh last year.
Yeah.
So it's nice to do that again.
I reckon the beast that will come out.
Yeah, in Perth.
I think the Traverse is a beast.
I think it's stuck in Perth.
So we did Trevanian Traverse,
which is cool. I saw some brilliant backs of legs scarring at the presentation.
Rip their shorts and everything.
Just walk it. I don't know if there's any. Do you do any tip to that? Do you do anything else? You don't go on top of it, do you?
No. I had my socks quite high and calf protectors, so I actually slid some of it.
Oh, did you?
It didn't rip through.
Okay.
So I just slid it because I was wet from the lake swim.
Yeah.
I just kind of glided.
Yeah.
Or on the back of my IROX, they've got like a plastic kind of heel bit.
Okay, so
if
you
could put your
heels
like
together.
that,
Okay.
it would just slide.
Clever.
So
I like it. They should do that in the innovates. Make a little triangle reverse hook. I like that idea. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And at that point, there was another. Just to kill you again, it was another little hill just to finish that off. But it's stupid because once you've done all you've done, those little hills feel so freaking hard on your legs.
That's like a hill I would normally maybe jog.
Cool, a class of a little hill.
Yeah, that's like a little hill I'd maybe jog to just think, oh, okay, get this out of the way, get it done. But because it was between all of those massive climbs, I was just like, oh, my legs. I had to stride